Hi guys, and welcome to the ShoeBox with Mr. E. Last time we talked about some of the questions or conversation starters that can make you a terrible Nigerian. Actually, a terrible person. On this week's episode of the ShoeBox, Mr. E will be talking about a Nigerian philosophy, the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself philosophy. The I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself philosophy is one that seeks to encourage a positive reward system for persons. It is also seen as a self-preservatory measure against physical, emotional, and sometimes financial harms that can come to us should we stubbornly pursue some situations. Well, in no doubt, you would have figured that this is not a Nigerian philosophy. It is a global philosophy. The average Nigerian will say, this life, now who they alive they enjoy am. This life, now who they alive go chop wedding rice. In essence, not every battle is worth your sweat, so choose your battle wisely. As with many principles or philosophies upon which humans across the ages have built their lives, there are pros and cons to the I cannot come and kill myself or I no do again philosophy. Mr. E on today's episode of the ShoeBox will be talking about some of these. The I no do again or I cannot come and kill myself philosophy can be applied as a getaway card from toxic or abusive situations / relationships. Now I know people will probably say, oh, I have a vendetta with marriage and relationships, but that's not true. A lot of the time we hear of toxic relationships and how people have tried to stick with such situations. You don't have to stick through it. It doesn't have to be that way. If you feel like your sanity, your health and safety is being threatened by the relationship, there is no harm in applying the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself principle in this case. Right. In your personal project, if you have exhausted every resource such that is impacting on you financially, physically, or even mentally, it is okay for you to tap out. Do not let the fear of appearing as a failure before family and friends carry you into sticking through a very toxic situation. Number two, you can apply the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself card as a way of giving yourself credit for the work that you have done. Take for example, for where you dey work, your work tap, but oga and madam no dey gree give you respect, they gree give you accolade wey be say you don earn am. No matter how good you are, you're not getting the credit for the work you've done, even when your work is exceptional at a very high level and people acknowledge it, but your bosses are not giving you credit. You know, it is easy for you to feel undervalued, unappreciated, or underappreciated, and then seek for means to finally gain this recognition for the work you've done. Look, if you've done your best and your work speak for themselves, you don't have to, put yourself into this toxic situation of working yourself really hard or butt licking or whatever you guys call it, just because you want to earn that recognition. You can be the proverbial lizard and tap yourself on the chest and tell yourself, me say if I know say my work tap, so it don't matter whether that person tell me say you fine or you no fine. I know say the work what they do here, it get weight. So you can tell yourself, I know do again, in that you're not going to consistently try to earn the respect of your boss when you know that you've earned it. Number three, you can apply this principle as a way of giving yourself a fresh start. In this case, we can apply the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself principles in part without following the all or nothing approach. Take, for example, a relationship that is not going as you intended for it to go. A project that has hit the rocks despite exhausting every feasible and available options. You want to kind of hit the pause button, take a break, and think things through. You're not necessarily saying, I know do again, but in this case, you're just applying the I cannot come and kill myself part of it, in that you can give yourself credit for how much work you've put into that relationship or the project, and then take more time to think things through such that when you come back, you can actually be productive. Number four, with the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself philosophy, one can actually regain their self-confidence or self-esteem. Now, we know that in our dealings with people, we often suffer blows to our confidence or self-esteem. You can actually feel it empty. Now, you can remove yourself from such situations. You can still back into your own private and quiet space to process things. You can tell yourself, I don't have to put up with this anymore. I know do again. It can be a work-related issue. You don't have to deal with that person, that individual at work. You don't have to continue to talk to that person. If it's someone in your circle of friends, you can cut them off or you can put them on mute. Thanks to social media, we can block people, we can put them on mute. So if these things are trigger factors for you that really cause your self-esteem and self-confidence to drop, you can really hit the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself button to allow yourself to heal. As with many philosophies and principles, there are definitely demerits to applying the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself philosophy. One of such is the fact that a lot of people can view this as a gateway to laziness and mediocrity, in that people are not willing to try enough. They're not even willing to try at all. They're just quick to settle for being okay. They are okay with being okay. They are quick to settle for good when better and excellence can be attained. They are quick to just say, well, sure, I don't try my best. I know if you can't kill myself for this matter. You can see this play out in the Nigerian scenario, politically or even educational systems. You see this happen where students just want to get a C. Politically, when citizens demand for rights from government, they are often or will be met with resistance from the government. It is easy for these agitators or protesters to say, okay, we don't try, oh, they no angry and so the matter na so it be for my hand. The work where would they do? Nothing come out, so I know do again or I know if you can't kill myself. The danger here is that if every one of these protesters or every well-meaning citizen of a nation adopts this mentality, the positive change that we clamor for in society will never come to be. Number two, and closely linked to the first disadvantage of the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself philosophy, is that it can actually normalize laziness and the couch potato mentality. This goes without much saying. Just think about the ripple effect of mediocrity or not trying enough on the future generations. Number three, the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself philosophy can actually create room for self-entitlement, which can be seen as a cumulative effect of encouraging laziness and mediocrity and eventually normalizing laziness and a couch potato mentality. Now think about the problem society would have to deal with in 20, 30 years time if laziness is normalized and mediocrity and couch potato mentality are encouraged among the generations following us. There will be massive number of persons demanding for things that they have not earned, demanding for things that they have not worked hard for or have not even worked for them at all. This is not something that we want to face in the future. As a result, before you opt to adopt a philosophy or a principle to build your life on, it is important that you do your research and dissect the philosophy, know the pros and the cons, so that you can actively seek to adopt the pros, live by the good tenets of that principle. Now that we are somewhat familiar with the principle of I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself, has there been times when you applied this principle even without knowing that it was a thing? Please do share some of your experiences in the comment box below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share with your friends. In the meantime, it has been a pleasure talking about the I know do again or I cannot come and kill myself principle with you all. Until next time, it is Mr. E from the ShoeBox.